Hey everybody, welcome back to Fixed on Jesus. Here we are actually with the continuation of the 100th episode extravaganza. My name is Rich, and I'm joined as always by Mark Johnson Jr. Mark?
Here I am.
And Heather Corbitt behind the glass.
Hello.
As you can tell, we are joined by...
Nobody woohoos when you say your name, just so you know. Nobody woohooed.
I know.
They woohooed
I've been around 23 years.
But they woohooed when you said my name.
I blend in.
Wow. They are firing shots.
They are. Well, they should.
Just in the middle.
This is the Fix on Jesus podcast. It's a podcast for Center Church, by members of Center Church, for members of Center Church. And so what we have is a live studio audience of our core group of loyal fans, right?
Woo! But, Rich, you forgot the runaway train. We want to know where the runaway train's going. We don't want to know when we're supposed to get off. We want to know when we're supposed to stop.
That's it. No.
That's just part of your intro.
You just ruined it. You ruined it by talking about it. So we never do that. This is like Rapid Fire Friday with everybody here.
Okay,
and
so I get to hit the email bell, even though there's no email.
There's no email, so no, you shouldn't hit the email bell. So we have a group of people who want to ask questions.
Okay.
So, are you ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready, Heather?
All right, friends. Questions? Any questions?
We forgot to ask them if they even had questions. Like, did they have...
Given the emails?
Pam.
Absolutely. Okay, Pam, then Caleb. Pam.
How old were you, or what caused you to pick up the call to be a minister?
That's a good one.
Wow. Pam asked how old I was, or what sort of led me to want to become a pastor.
Great question.
That's a great question.
Besides the fact that Dad was doing it.
Yeah, well, that was actually a reason not to do it. So actually growing up at home where my dad was a pastor, I just knew, for one thing for sure, I did not want to be a pastor.
Wow.
So I'll give you just the truncated version, but I did not want to be a pastor. And so I was going to college. I got married right after I graduated college.
Shout out to Tiffany.
Tiffany, who's not here. She's here. Her heart's here, but she's not physically here. I graduated from college, and my plan was maybe to go to law school after college. And so Tiffany, when we got married, still had a couple years left of school. And so she was finishing up her studies at ASU. And the thought was for us to go somewhere for me to go to law school. But in that time, the Lord really started working on me as I was working at the job, at work. And Sovereign Grace started a pastor's college that was it was starting in 1997, I think. And it was intriguing to me because I never really understood how to become a pastor or what that would look like. And as I just investigated the course and the program, it was intriguing, and I started praying, and I just started talking to Tiff about it, about the possibility of doing that. And the Lord just moved on my heart to want to enter into pastoral ministry. And so I'm distilling a lot of things down.
On her heart, too?
Yeah. She was confused at first because, like all young married guys, I wasn't a good communicator. And I don't know that I'm great now.
Well, you're doing great.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So it was hard. I had to catch her up, and once I caught her up with what was going on inside, she was in agreement. And so actually in 1999, we relocated across the country for the one-year training at the time it was in Gaithersburg, Maryland. And so then I had a 2-year internship in San Diego, and the plan was actually to plant a church in East County, San Diego, in a place called El Cajon, which means the drawer, if you're wondering. And for a variety of reasons, that didn't happen. And so that was off the table. And then here at this church, the senior pastor resigned, and then my dad was the interim guy for, 9 months? Yeah, about 9 months. And it was he just decided, the preaching week-to-week stuff wasn't wasn't what he was looking to do, wasn't his fastball. And so then the idea was floated about me coming. And so I came in June of 2002. And
The rest is history.
so far. So
Wow.
there you go. It's a long. There's a lot of detours, and we took the long way around in some way, in some ways. But that's the short version right there. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks. Good question, Pam.
Yeah.
Thanks. Caleb.
This is a little different direction.
I would imagine.
Uh-oh, he wrote a expose.
You wrote this down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Several questions.
Okay. Well, let's.
For this day.
Well, I'm just giving you a hard time. Go ahead.
All right. Go ahead.
So a lot of times in the Old Testament it refers to the angel of the Lord.
Yes.
I was reading in Isaiah, it talks about how the angel of the Lord went out and killed a bunch of Assyrians. And I remember on one of the podcasts, I think, or maybe a sermon in Exodus, with the burning bush,
Exodus 3. Yep.
when we see, and the burning bush is introduced, it said that the angel of the Lord is in the bush, right? And you talked about it as that being Jesus. So in the entirety of the Old Testament, when the angel of the Lord is referred to, does that always mean Jesus?
So the question is, just to make sure that you pick it up on the recording, Caleb is asking if every time we read the angel of the Lord in the Old Testament, does that always refer to Jesus? Not always. You got to look at the context of the text, right? So if you look at Exodus chapter 3, for example, the angel of the Lord's referred to, but then you see like there's language about how the voice of the Lord is coming out, right? So there's a connection there's a connection to God here with the angel of the Lord. Now, sometimes the angel of the Lord is a messenger. Sometimes it's the pre-incarnate Christ. Now, if you read all kinds of different Old Testament scholars will debate which appearance is pre-incarnate Jesus and which appearance is just a general angel. Chances are, if it says the angel of the Lord, not an angel of the Lord, chances are it's probably a pre-incarnate Christ. But read the whole context just to make sure, and see what function the angel of the Lord is. He just passing on a message, or is he mediating, or is what's happening there? So, the Old Testament is full of mysteries, and that's one of them.
Yeah,
so.
you've done a really good job just asking questions through email about things that aren't super clear in Scripture, and I just appreciate that about you.
Yeah.
Great question.
Well done. Good. All right, who's next? Don't be shy. Okay, we got Amy, and then we got Heidi.
Is it wrong to sing to the national anthem? Is it like a form of worship in a way?
So Amy is asking, is it wrong to sing the national anthem?
Yeah.
I assume the American one? It's wrong to sing the Canadian one.
It's also wrong for me to sing at all.
Yes, correct. So "O Canada" is always wrong. No, just kidding.
Canada.
No, I don't think so. It's good to be patriotic, I think, because we live. Every citizen should be, at some level, happy that they're a part of the country that they live in, right? I think where it gets dangerous is that when we equate God's purposes with a nation in the world, or we try to assume that the U.S. has some special purpose in the world that is not given by the Scriptures. And so I don't think it's wrong, and I would never say, hey, don't sing the national anthem. I just think we need to make sure that we recognize we're citizens of heaven before we're citizens of the U.S. And as grateful as we are for our citizenship, we're coming up on 250 years, next year? Yeah, and that's great. But Christians have been around for 2,000. And so on the scale of things, the United States is just a blip on the radar screen. And so
12%. Yeah.
What's that?
Like 12% of all of time.
12% of time?
Of 2,000 years.
12% of 2,000. Okay, yeah. Yeah, thanks for doing the math there, Mark.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, but not really. So does that help? Okay, that's a good question. Heidi.
Okay, the many wives.
The many wives
With many wives.
in the Old Testament.
Reading through the Old Testament.
Yeah, everybody.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
70,
Yeah, right.
crazy
Right.
numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
Why? And,
Why?
Like, I know we talk about marriage between a man and a woman, and that's obviously Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, Heidi's asking. It's pretty. Tell me if I get this right for the purpose of the recording. Lots of men in the Bible have many wives, and why is that happening? When did that stop? And kind of what's the deal, right? So a couple things to realize with that is that when we read Old Testament narratives do not tell us what to do. They don't prescribe how to live. They report what happened. And we are, with our understanding of the Old Testament and our understanding of the Bible in particular, are meant to interpret, did they do rightly? And the answer is no on that one. Now also, one thing to also recognize is many of the times that, because the Old Testament, the ones that had the many wives are most of the time they're kings, right? Who could do kind of what they wanted. And that was kind of what they wanted. Now, Solomon went to other places and his many wives drew him away from the Lord. And that was the danger that the Lord warned the people when they went into the promised land. Don't go marry foreign wives who can take your hearts and take them away, right? And so it was, because it was also, that was what everybody did back in the day. Like if you read the Babylonians or you read the Assyrians, you read about all of them had multiple different wives, right? And so then, not just wives, but concubines as well. And so the whole thing was just corrupt and not ideal. And so when did that stop? In some places, it's still going on. When did it stop being an acceptable thing among Christians?
Well, was it ever an acceptable thing amongst Christians?
Well, there's nothing addressed in the Old Testament, right? And so the rank and file, the normal people, the people who weren't kings, it was usually like, you think about somebody like Samson's parents, one husband, one wife, right? You think about like John the Baptist's parents, one husband, one wife. You think about Gideon's dad, I think he had more than one wife because he was sort of a local noble. But like you look and you find that the normal people, the people that we would all be, it's usually one husband, one wife. It's the royalty and the people who had a level of nobility that colored outside the lines and sort of took the practices of the world around them and made that what they did, if that makes sense. And so so in the New Testament, we don't have, there's no evidence that like we're not dealing with nation states anymore in the New Testament, but, it's very clearly communicated, have one man, one woman, right? And so once the nation state of Israel was gone, there's no other evidence or no other multiple wives situation that's acceptable, if that makes sense. Is that helpful? Okay.
So it's something that happened, but not necessarily something that was right.
Yeah.
Or
right.
It's not something we should model after.
Definitely not. Yeah, definitely not. Right. Exactly. Oh, wait, go ahead.
Just to follow up on this one.
Yep. Caleb has a follow-up.
With the kings, we
With the
see that
kings.
God disciplines them for a great many things when they disobey Him.
Yep.
Why do you think that God didn't discipline them for this specific sin of marrying all these people?
I do not know. I mean, no, yeah, that's right. There's a different challenge. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, can you clarify that? Because I couldn't even hear it on the headphones.
Okay, yeah. So Caleb asks, why did they not get disciplined for having the many wives? Well, and Liz had a good answer to that. They did. They had many wives, and but it's true because the ones that had a bunch, their hearts were turned away. So it's like a Romans 1 kind of discipline where you get what you want, and then your heart you're taken down the wrong road, and then your heart gets hard, and you're not able to know spiritually, who you are anymore. Jonathan.
How did Adam and Eve talk to Satan in the garden?
So Jonathan asked the question, how did Adam and Eve talk with Satan in the garden? Do you mean like because he was a snake? Well, he was a talking snake. So the talking snake came into the garden and said, told lies, right? And so they weren't surprised by a talking snake. Would that surprise you?
If I was them,
What about if you were you? What if you were you now?
probably
Yeah. If you ever run into a talking snake, tell me, okay?
Okay, I'll tell you, but I'll show you its dead body.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, good. Yeah, so that's good. So Jonathan's asking about whether or not we were talking about whether or not they were surprised that the snake came in and was talking, right? And they didn't seem surprised. But what we have is Adam not really doing his job because he named all the animals. He named them all and found that there was none that was a suitable helper, but yet he knew that the snake was sly because we read in Genesis 3 that it was more crafty than the other animals. And yet he didn't kick it out of the garden. The first time that snake came and tried to say something, he should have kicked it out of the garden. And in fact, we know from the original Hebrew that when the snake addresses, you will surely not die, it's plural, not singular. So he's talking to two people there. Adam standing there with Eve the whole time.
Passive.
And passively standing there, yes. Which
I would have did the same thing probably, but
probably, I think, Romans 5 said yes, you would.
Yeah.
That's correct. So, Pam, and then, Pam.
This is a two-part question.
Okay, two-part question.
One is, like, how much time do you spend on each sermon studying?
Ooh.
And the second part of it is that my friend Angie and I never cease to look at each other when you finish preaching with our mouths wide open saying, how did he get that? As you're studying, is God revealing these same incredible truths to you that you're teaching to us?
Okay,
repeat her
so
whole question.
I will. Pam was asking, how long do I take to study for sermons? And then do the revelations that I communicate or the insights I communicate via preaching, is that something that the Lord shows me as I prepare?
She also
Does it sometimes just amaze you to discover some of the things that you're
Oh, does it amaze me to discover what's in there? Absolutely, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of times where I sit down to start studying a text and I think, I have no idea what means, like a lot. And so I usually spend about 20 hours on each sermon. And so I will study, my study process is to, like, depending, if it's I'll study the text and then read a lot of background information about it, depending on how complex it is, maybe 50 to 150 pages of study material, so that I have a wide understanding of what's taught on this or what each concept
controversies
means.
too. Sure.
Yeah, controversies and like whatever else is going on in the text, so I'm aware of it. But there's most of the time, when something I'm studying and something just hits me like, oh wow, that I didn't know that, right? And that happens all the time, because there's a lot of times where we'll pick a series that we're going to preach on, and I think, why in the world did we do this? This is so hard. I mean, this is most Saturdays for me, actually. Because I handwrite every sermon.
With a really nice pen.
With a pen.
Not one of these.
Not one of those. No,
Never.
Not a big pen, but I have a pen I enjoy writing with. That's correct. I handwrite them all, and then I put them in the computer, and so it gives me a couple editing opportunities. And a lot of times, many times, it's like, wow, I didn't see that. I never knew that was there, right? Or I wouldn't have known it if I didn't study closely, right? So, definitely. So whenever I preach, I'm preaching to myself first. And I've preached to myself 5, 6, 7 times already as I write it all out. I don't practice, but I write it all out. So, no, I do not do that. Is that helpful? Good question.
Well, yeah, because I'm coming 8 miles to this church, and I live real close to 2 others.
Yeah.
And I'm here because of the revelations that I'm getting from you, and I'm just always wondering, how incredible it would be to be in the presence of the Lord, learning these things in the manner in which you're doing them.
Well, that's very kind for you to say, Pam.
Yes, Pam's, just for those who aren't here, Pam is complimenting Rich and giving him credit, and he's not repeating those things because he's a humble man.
Well,
So
I
just
do
wanna
have.
make
Have
that
you
clear.
seen my library upstairs, Pam? Have you seen my library upstairs?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, I've got a lot of books. And so that's one of the things that I have an advantage is I have a lot of books, both physical and electronic, where I'm able to see all kinds of information out there. So there's no original ideas that I'm getting. I'm just try to communicate what the text says. So,
Can I ask a quick follow-up on that topic, and then Cammie can go?
yes.
When you go to preach a sermon after practicing and studying after all that time, is there additional stuff that comes out in a sermon when you preach that you didn't prep for?
Yes.
Like every time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it just maybe comes from background knowledge or obviously the Holy Spirit?
Yeah. I mean,
You think?
depends. Yeah.
Okay.
Each one, you'd have to ask me after each one, right?
All right,
So
I'm gonna do that. You're going to see
stick-
me race up to the front next Sunday. Like, Rich, how much of that was written down?
I don't stick to my notes. If you think about it, like, was that part? Did you plan that part?
Okay.
So, and I could tell you right after, but
Can I give a little background, a little BTS? Can I do that?
sure, go ahead. And then we got Cammie.
Okay, so one of the fun things about being able to have his notes in front of you when you're doing slides is knowing when he goes off the rails. It's kind of fun.
Off the rails. Wow.
Well, I
Go
mean,
way off the rails.
okay, maybe that's the wrong terminology, but he definitely gets the Holy Spirit and goes.
Unction.
Yeah, unction, sure. But
Yeah, I
it has
do.
happened before, and I'm like, I have no idea where he is at. I don't know what slide I'm supposed to put up, but
Yeah, or I'll skip slides or move. There'll be a
that's
lot of
happened-
times I'll
that's
edit
happened
stuff on
before,
the
sure.
fly and stuff like that. yeah.
that is understandable, makes sense, time and things. I've seen you do that. But when he has got something that's really powerful and you can hear it in his voice, which we've all experienced, right? Heads nodding. Yeah, it's like he did not write that down.
Usually, is it? Would you say that's typical, Heather? That I didn't write that down? Those parts?
That happens a lot.
Okay.
It does.
Okay. There you go. There you go. All right, Cammie and then Leslie.
Could you explain how your relationship with God has deepened, changed, been affected by all these years of studying and preaching God's word?
So Cammie asked a great question. How has my relationship with the Lord deepened or been, just gone further than before because of all the preaching, right? Yeah, I think I've said this and I really mean this. The Lord picks the weakest people to be preachers because I would not study the Bible like this if I didn't have to get up and preach. And so the way that I think I've been affected mostly is just to realize the depth of the scriptures. There's always more there. So like for there's tons of information I don't put in a sermon, and it's just on the cutting room floor, right? And I think the living and activeness of the Bible is what has jumped at me, and just over time, just a continued trust in what the scriptures say, that they're always timely, that they speak to every situation, and that the Holy Spirit's active in ways I just can't anticipate. And so there'll be application that I'll say or that the text has that hits somebody, and they're thinking, it hits them right where they need to be hit, or hits me, And so I just think that kind of trust in God through His Word has just been a huge impact to me, to be able to read the Word and know, okay, there's this. If I'm not understanding this, that's on me, not the Bible. And so I'm going to press in hard to understand this. Does that make sense? Yeah. Leslie.
Yeah, just simple. What are a couple of things, obviously you mentioned preaching, maybe that's one of them, that you really enjoy about being a pastor? And what are a couple of things that you really don't enjoy?
Ooh.
Leslie asks, what are two things that I enjoy about being a pastor, and what are two things I don't enjoy about being a pastor? What do I enjoy? I really enjoy working with people and helping people, Leslie. I mean, just it's an honor to be able to come alongside people, oftentimes in their darkest days, or come alongside when they're really struggling, and just to be a voice of encouragement and help. That's an honor I've never gotten over. I really enjoy that. Not seeing people suffer, but being able to try to be a voice of help for them. I really enjoy that. I enjoy the camaraderie we have on our pastoral team, where we're a team. We work together. And I enjoy, our church is great. We have so many people that are just wonderful. And so it's an honor and a privilege to be able, not just to be a pastor, but to pastor this church, because of the people that I think the Lord has blessed us with. And so I love that. There are hardships. I think the hardest thing is probably when you have to confront sin and people don't want to hear it. That's hard. And it's hard. It's hard to just keep pressing forward in one direction over a long period of time. And, it's not like sports where you have a scoreboard and you can see whether you won or lost at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of being faithful, and sometimes it's easy to lose perspective about what success is or what faithfulness is or whatever, right? And so I think that can be hard. But all in all, it's more blessing than anything. So thanks for asking that.
Revival's been a topic on your heart for years. And the first part of the question would be for you just to talk about that. What about revival seems to just grab your attention? And the second part of that is last year you got your MDiv.
2 years.
Ago? Wow.
Time flies in the Richardson families.
So will you consider maybe going forward to get your PhD and revival be a focus?
Okay, we have an intrusive question from the person in the front row.
Otherwise known as Dad.
As Dad, the elderly gentleman, otherwise known as my dad. Wow. So he's asking about revival. Why is that something that I've studied or has been an interest to me? And I think the answer to that is because I love biographies. I've tried to read every really good Christian biography out there. And all the people that I enjoy reading were a part of a revival time.
Edwards, name a couple.
Edwards, Whitefield, others. I mean, there's a book. Spurgeon, kind of. My favorite book on revival is a book called Revival and Revivalism by Ian Murray. So that's outstanding. Jonathan Edwards is another one that had a time of revival. There's also, I've enjoyed reading the Puritans and their take on revival, which is a little bit different because it was 100 years before Whitefield, Wesley, in some cases 150. And so I don't like Wesley as much, but he was during revival. I really don't like Charles Finney. But I've just enjoyed hearing the accounts of how the Lord just shows up and people are affected. And so, and then the question is, will I continue my studies? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if I'll have the time, or I'm not sure. I'd like to, if I do continue, I'd like to study revival in a Puritan context. So to do some kind of work. And so the Puritans were from 1560 to 1660 in England. Some of them moved over here, and they were the pastors who followed the Reformation that applied a lot of what happened in the Reformation. So the reformers are like John Knox, Martin Luther, John Calvin, Obed Zwingli. They applied the truths that those guys fought for, and often they were mostly English, the Puritans, all of them were English, and they applied it in a local church setting. So that's why it's good. So you can read, some Puritans would be like Thomas Watson, John Flavel, John Owen, Richard Goodwin. There's all kinds like that. And so there were just these faithful pastors throughout England who were just pastoring people. There's American ones as well, but they're less well known. So,
great question.
Yeah. All right, a couple more, and then we'll call it on this one. Yes.
Question on David and Goliath.
Yes.
What you're probably expecting, but this is, I've noticed in the story, David Saul says, "Why don't you come help me out?"
Uh-huh.
And then he goes and fights Goliath, and then Saul says, "Who is this guy?" Like, well, a chapter ago you just met him.
Yeah.
So how does that work? I mean, I don't understand the narrative.
Yeah, that's a good question. So he's asking about David and the story of David and Goliath, and how Saul seems to just not really even recognize him, or then be like, "Hey, who is this? What's going on?" Right? So, like, when you read narratives, that's the right question to ask, because whatever's repeated is something that we need to pay attention to. And so, like, we're actually going to start the book of Judges in August. And when you read Judges, which is a crazy book, when you read Judges, you read the narrative is always much more highly, it's put together with much more care than people think, like tons more. And you watch for repeated words, you watch for repeated clauses, you watch for repeated episodes. And so, so part of what is happening where is that? That's in 1 Samuel, what? It's early 1 Samuel. So part of what's happening is, if you think about the whole Old Testament, you've got Joshua, Judges, then 1 Samuel, right? So in Judges, you have over 300 years where people are like, we need a king. Where's the king? We need a faithful king. There's no faithful king. Our leaders are really bad, and they're leading us down these really bad roads. And the strongest of them, Samson, is a moron, right? And so Gideon is a fool, right? And so you got all these guys
He's a
who are
tool.
leaders. Jephthah's a tool, right? And so you have all these guys who are leaders, and they lead the country poorly. And so there's a sense in which there's a looking for a faithful king. And then Saul's the first one, and he's not faithful. And then David shows up, right? And Saul is playing the role that we would play as audience, reading and saying, who's that? Is that who we've been looking for from all the way through Judges? Yeah, that's who it is. So that's the idea. Does that make sense?
What percentage of the books up in your office have you read?
Ooh.
What percentage of the books in my office have I read?
And second part, if you were to write a book, what would you write about?
Ooh, he's going to write a book. He might have read a book already.
And then if I were to write a book, what would it be about? Percentage of books? It's a good question. I don't know.
Are some of them more just...
Non-reference?
Yeah.
Most of them. So, I don't
How
know.
many are up there? How many are there?
I don't know. 4,000. I mean, there's 2,000 or 3,000. No, I stopped that, yeah.
So the audience is inquiring about how many books Rich has read.
You can go
in
look
his
up there and
office.
count them. I don't know. Heather, you put them on shelves.
There's thousands, and some of them are encyclopedic. Some of them you've read.
My arms hurt. That was a long, hard job.
There's a lot of books up there.
There's a lot of books.
If I were to write a book, I would write a book on, let's see.
Church discipline. Leviticus.
I think I would write a book on, I don't know, maybe revival, maybe some ecclesiological kind of idea. I'm not sure. Maybe
Baptism and the Lord's Supper.
no, definitely not. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. So
Leprosy.
nope. It's really Hansen's disease is what that is.
Write about it.
I'm not going to write about that. Okay. One more, and then we'll call it. Amy.
Preaching on Sunday, are you sitting and listening, or are you always out preaching somewhere else?
No, I'm sitting and listening.
Question.
Yeah. This Sunday I'll be doing that. Yeah. Unless they wrangle me to get in children's ministry. But yeah. Yeah. I like just, like Sunday, so I'm not preaching in July, or this Sunday or in July. And so when I'm, like, if I'm on vacation, I'll be gone. But this Sunday I'll be back, and I'm looking forward just to doing nothing on Sunday, except listening and taking notes, and yeah. For sure.
One more?
Sure.
I don't have one. Or maybe someone else does. Oh, we got one in the
Leslie,
back.
yes.
One question that you wish someone
Leslie asks, what's one question I wish someone would ask that no one has ever asked me?
Oh,
That's maybe that question, Leslie. But I don't know the answer to it. I'm not sure. It's a good question. What's one question that I wish someone would ask me that they've never asked me? I've been asked a lot of strange questions before. After I preach, normally I could write a book on what people tell me after I preach. The most common one was, I thought you were shorter. Like the first time people see me, so like usually when I'm up there up front, and then when I come down, the first thing, I've had probably 10 people tell me, I thought you were shorter.
You look shorter up there?
I guess, I do. I look diminutive, I don't know. I've had all kinds of, I could write a book on things people say. But I'm not sure I have a question I wish someone would ask me. That's a good question though, Leslie, I don't know. It's mostly inappropriate. Yeah.
We got one more in the back.
All right, Mrs. Litz.
Stories for another day. That's a story for another day.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stories for other days. Veronica says, could I write a book about things that are stories for another day, or another sermon for another day? Right, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of sermons for other days, yeah, for sure. That's good. That's good. All right, well.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming for our 100th episode. And we are grateful for everyone, even though we had to turn away so many people. Oh, some of them are coming back from Golden Corral, and they're all distended from the gluten that they've eaten at Golden Corral. Oh, my goodness.
And they want me to sing.
And they do not.
Oh. Well, thank you for listening. We love you. Please, if you have any questions, reach out at production@centergilbert.com. And, just thank you.
We'll see you next time.